Jackson had an absolute, total, and thorough inability to sleep.
I'm here to get justice for Michael Jackson.
Your Honor, I'm an innocent man.
He was not an anesthesiologist. He was not board certified in cardiology. Conrad Murray was not board certified in any medical specialty. Michael Jackson's death was a homicide.
The beginning of day 3 trial. It hasn't even started yet, but we just wanted to let you know it's getting started now. I'm going to be also doing some things on the computer while the trial is going. I'll try my best to kind of stay out your way so you can keep an eye on everything. We're going to be lowering it down again. This is September 29th, my birthday, and we're on day 3 of the trial with Dr. Murray. State versus Dr. Conrad, Murray.
State that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am.
Please be seated. Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last name.
Alberto Alvarez, A-L-B-E-R-T-O. Alvarez, A-L-V-A-R-E-Z.
Mr. Alvarez, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Let me provide you with some instructions. So these are instructions I actually give to every witness in every case. The first is, please sit back and relax.
Thank you, sir.
The second, please speak loudly so we can hear you. The third, if you're called upon to provide a yes or no answer, reply by yes or no rather than slang which can be a little tricky. And lastly, please wait until you hear an entire question before you even start to answer it. In our daily lives, many of us are used to speaking over each other. But it's important in a courtroom that we hear only one person speaking at one time, so wait. Is that okay?
I understand, sir.
Thank you. Direct, Mr. Waldman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. Alvarez, directing your attention to the month of June 2009, where did you work at that time?
I worked at 100 North Carrollwood, sir.
And who lived at 100 North Carrollwood in Los Angeles County?
Michael Jackson, sir.
And with whom did he live at that location?
He lived there with his children.
And what was your job at that time?
I was a director of logistics, sir.
What does that mean?
Basically what I would do, route surveys, hotel surveys, establish communication with PD, establish communication with upper management at any venue that he would be arranged to come into.
Okay. And when you say you said advanced or hotel surveys, route surveys, what do you mean by that?
Well, I was part of the advanced team, and what I would do is I'd make sure everything was clear or in its proper place before he entered any venue.
And when you say he, are you referring to Michael Jackson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just to give us an idea of what you did with more specificity, let's say Michael Jackson indicated to you that he wanted to go shopping. What would you do in that circumstance?
He would usually give me instructions as to what he wanted to buy or what he wanted to go shopping for, and he would ask me to go look for certain stores. And so what I would do is I would go around the areas and look for the stores that had the items that he would look for, and then come back with the information. And if he would ask me if everything was clear, I would say yes, and so he would agree to come out and go shopping.
Okay. And then when he would then say, okay, I'm going to go shopping, would you be in an advanced vehicle or would you go with him at that point?
For shopping, sir, I would actually be the passenger of the vehicle he would be traveling in.
Okay. Now, in June of 2009, for how long had you, at that point in time, how long had you worked for Michael Jackson?
Well, I got called back. I've worked with him since 2004, on and off. But at that point, I was called back. I believe it was December 31st or January 1st, sir.
December 31st of 2008 or January of 2009?
Correct, sir.
Okay. And when you were called called back into employment, did you agree to come back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was this a good job for you?
Oh, yes, sir, it was.
Did you make a good salary?
Yes.
And when you were called back into employment at that time, was Michael living at 100 North Carrollwood?
That's correct, sir.
And beginning then, let's say in the beginning of January 2009, was it full-time employment for you?
That's correct, sir.
And that continued through to June 25th, 2009?
Yes, sir.
Now, as a member of the security team, can you describe for me the basic kind of rules and procedures as far as the property was concerned? Let me ask you first, was security generally outside the residence?
That's correct, sir. We had a security trailer right on the side of his house.
Okay. And did security routinely go inside the house?
No, sir, only when we were requested inside.
Okay. And the trailer that you referred to, showing you first people's six for identification. Can you see the trailer in that photograph?
Yes, sir, I can.
And sir, can you grab the pointer that you have up there?
Okay.
And can you point out the trailer, please?
Right there.
Okay, for the record indicating to the right of the front portion of the house in People 6. And I want to show you one other photograph reflected in People's 9. Is this more of a close-up view of that same trailer?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, was there a distinction between kind of on-site property security as opposed to people such as yourself that would actually go out into the city with Mr. Jackson?
Yes, sir, that's correct. We had, like you said, property security, and then we were his personal security, sir.
When you say we were his personal security, who's we?
It was Fahim Muhammad, Mike Lemire, myself, and then closer to his passing, we had Derek Muhammad and a few Isaac Muhammad and Eric.
Now, do you know Conrad Murray?
Yes, I do, sir.
Do you see him in court here today?
Yes, sir.
Could you identify him, please?
Yes, sir. He's sitting right over there with a blue suit and a great tie.
Pointing to and identifying Dr. Murray, the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Alvarez, when did you personally first see Conrad Murray?
Once I started working at 100 North Carrollwood, I seen him after January of 2009, sir.
Okay. And when you first saw Conrad Murray, was it at the Carrollwood location?
That is correct, sir.
Now, going forward then to the months of, let's say, April, May, and June of 2009, with what frequency would you see Conrad Murray at the Carrollwood residence?
In those months, I started seeing him about 5 to 6 times a week, sir.
And what time of day or night would you see him?
Sometimes I would see him in the morning when I would come in, but for the most part, I would see him in the afternoon.
And were you aware that he was actually staying the night during that period of time?
Yes, sir.
Were you aware of oxygen tanks being on the premises?
Yes, sir.
And would those be stored in the security trailer from time to time?
That is correct.
Showing what was earlier marked People 16 by identification. Do you recognize that photograph, sir?
Yes, sir. That's the inside of the trailer.
Okay. And do you see the various oxygen tanks both to the left and right of this broken chair in People 16?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is that an accurate depiction of what would be normal to see in that trailer as far as the oxygen tanks?
Yes, sir.
And showing you People 17, this sign that reads, "Please remember to take the oxygen tanks every Friday." as soon as place opens. Do you recognize that sign?
Yes, sir.
And do you know who put that sign up there?
I do not, sir.
Were you in charge in any way with maintaining the inventory of oxygen tanks or returning them or anything of that nature?
No, sir. That was mostly house security that would deal with that.
Would you see Conrad Murray in possession of these oxygen tanks, either bringing them down or bringing them up from time to time?
From time to time, yes, sir. He would come into the trailer, leave empty ones, and then he would grab some full ones.
Mr. Alvarez, I want to take you forward then to the evening of June 24th, 2009, the night before Michael Jackson's death. Were you working at Carrollwood on that day?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And were you part of the advance team that took Mr. Jackson to the Staples Center that evening?
I was.
Do you recall what time you went to the Staples Center that night?
It was after 5 p.m., sir.
And were you working the advance detail as you described to us earlier?
Yes, I was.
So describe for me what you did sometime after 5 p.m. as far as your responsibilities as part of the advance team.
Well, I would drive, at that time we were at the Staples venue, and I would drive over to Staples and go underneath the Staples Center, park my vehicle, and then I would walk over to Mr. Jackson's green room.
I'm sorry, his green room?
Yes, sir. That's a term they use for his his dressing quarters or whatnot.
Okay.
Then I would make sure that everything that he is accustomed to was in place. He liked his room at a certain temperature, so I would make sure that stuff like that were taken care of.
What temperature did he like his room at?
He liked a warm setting.
Okay. And once you made sure everything was in order in his green room, what would you do as far as venue security or anything of that nature?
Well, we would do a walkthrough, make sure that there was no paparazzi or media that was not supposed to be in the venue, check in with Staples Security, check their surveillance, make sure everything was in order, and just to ensure that the arrival would go as smooth as possible.
Okay. Now, once you checked the green room, checked security at the venue, did Michael Jackson arrive sometime thereafter?
Yes, sir.
About what time did he arrive on June 24th?
It would be hard for me to recall, but I believe it was sometime like 6:30 to 7, somewhere around that time.
And did you meet Mr. Jackson in that sub-training area in the golf cart?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And what did you do at that time?
He would exit his vehicle, and he would jump onto the golf cart, and then I would just drive him over to his green room, and he'd get off and prepare for rehearsal.
Okay. And do you recall the kind of demeanor, general attitude of Michael that evening?
He was very happy. I do recall he was in very good spirits.
So once you then took him to his green room and dropped him off, what did you do?
I would park the golf cart in a position where it would be ready to go if he just wanted to leave, and then we would either start setting the parameters for security inside the rehearsal area, and we had our own break room, and we would go in and out of the break room as needed.
Okay. Now, during that rehearsal that evening, what did you do?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
During the actual rehearsal, so you've gotten Michael safely into his green room.
Mm-hmm.
You turned the golf cart around. You indicated you guys had your own break room or sitting area for security. So once you had dropped Michael Jackson off into his green room, what did you do that particular evening?
Okay. At that particular day, I was in charge of the parameter in the back of the stage, and so I was posted in the back of the stage while he was rehearsing.
Okay. And from being back in the back of the stage, Exactly where were you, if you recall? And when you say the back of the stage, what do you mean?
Well, there was a big monitor in the stage, and there's a garage door that would open up to the stage, and he would exit through there. And so I was in the back of the stage position, just in case anything or he needed anything, I would be there to assist him.
Okay. And so this kind of what you described as a garage door, this would open up, and then Michael would come out onto the stage, and he would also exit that way?
That is correct.
Okay. Were you able to see any of the rehearsal, or was your view blocked?
It was blocked for the most part, but there was times where he was singing certain songs that I would go around the stage and just peek to see his performance.
Okay, and how would you characterize his performance that evening as far as his demeanor?
Well, he was doing very well for the most part, and I remember the dancer saying, Mr. Jackson.
The objection is sustained. You're doing very well for the most part. That's the answer. Everything thereafter is stricken. Disregard the remainder.
Yes, sir.
Well,
But the aspects of the show that you personally saw, not what the dancers told you, but the aspects you saw, it went very well?
Yes, sir.
And at the conclusion of the rehearsal that evening, what took place?
Well, after rehearsal, we did our same routine. Once he was ready, once we loaded him up into the vehicle, I would then jump into the advanced vehicle and drive out and secure the proper route for the principal vehicle.
Okay, that's what you did that night?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, were you the one that actually then took Michael in the golf cart then to the subterranean area where he could get into the vehicles?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, was his demeanor the same as you described earlier, as happy and
Yes.
in good spirits?
Yes, sir.
Now, once you got Mr. Jackson safely to the vehicle, did you then, as part of the advance team, proceed and leave the location prior to Michael's departure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And again, was that part of your route survey and advanced security?
That is correct.
And to where did you drive at that time?
If I recall correctly, sir, we drove off to the 101 freeway, and I don't recall the exact exit, but I believe it would have been, it could have been Sunset, and then there was a closure in the freeway, which I was able to catch that and give the principal's vehicle that information, and for that, they didn't have to wait in traffic, and they took an alternate route.
Okay. And you proceeded to Michael's house at 100 North Carroll?
Yes, sir.
You arrived there before Michael?
Yes, I did.
And when you arrived at the location, did you see a particular vehicle already parked at the house that you recognized?
Yes, sir, I did.
And whose vehicle was that?
That was Dr. Conrad Murray, sir.
Showing you what was earlier marked People's 10 for identification. Is that Conrad Murray's convertible BMW parked in the driveway as you saw it that night on June 24th, 2009?
That's correct, sir.
What did you then do, sir, once you arrived at the location?
We positioned our advanced vehicle in its parking place, and then ensured that the front door was unlocked, and just prepared for Mr. Jackson's arrival.
Okay. And did he arrive shortly thereafter?
Yes, he did.
And what did you do then as Mr. Jackson, once he pulled onto the property, what took place?
Then they would pull up to the front door. I would help opening his door. He would get off, and fans always gave him a lot of gifts, a lot of cards or flowers, and we would assist with removing those items from the vehicle and then placing them in his home.
Okay. Is that what you did that night?
That is correct.
And did you speak to Mr. Jackson during that brief time?
Briefly.
Alberto Alvarez,
said
Jackson's
goodnight,
Director of
and,
Logistics.
he said goodnight, and that was it.
Is that the last time you saw him alive?
That's the last time I saw him, yes, sir.
after you said goodnight to Mr. Jackson that evening, what did you do?
When we finished unloading all the gifts, then we secured the front door, and then we all headed to the security trailer for debriefing.
And was that typical routine?
Yes, sir.
Now, after the debriefing in the trailer, what did you do, sir?
After the debriefing, we all headed out. Those that were relieved would head out, and house security would stay, and we just headed home.
Okay. And did you head home at that time?
Yeah, that's correct, sir.
Okay. And were you scheduled to work the next day, June 25th, 2009?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And did you report back to Carrollwood the next day, June 25th, 2009?
That is correct.
And what time did you get there?
I got there after 10 o'clock, sir, somewhere around 10:15, 10:20.
In the morning?
In the morning, sir.
And Mr. Alvarez, what did you do when you arrived at about 10:15 in the morning?
Same routine. We would check into the security trailer, see if there was any instructions at that time, and if there wasn't anything to be done, then we would just sit around in the trailer waiting for any specific instructions.
Okay. Mr. Alvarez, prior to today's date, did you have an opportunity to review your telephone records?
Yes, I have.
And did you also have an opportunity to review a summary of your telephone records as to the relevant time period?
Yes, sir, I have.
Now I have a summary of the phone records of Alberto Alvarez, his number being area code 909-273-4846. May this summary be marked Peoples 26?
It is.
It's previously been shown to defense counsel, Your Honor. Is that chart, Mr. Alvarez?
Mr. Cannon.
562-881-2570.
As reflected in the first line of that chart,
273-4846. 909
well, let me ask you this
273-4846
before getting into that.
is Albert Alvarez and Michael Amir Williams.
Where were you at about 12:17 p.m.
881-2570.
Still in the security trailer.
Okay. And at 12:18 p.m., as reflected in your phone records, do you recall getting a phone call from Michael Amir, calling Michael Amir Williams at phone number 562-881-2570 with that call, as reflected on your phone records, lasting 88 seconds?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you remember that conversation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And prior to that 12:18 call, do your phone records reflect, and I'll just go line by line, 12:17, a call from Michael Amir to you for 21 seconds. 12:17, a call from Michael Amir to you for 20 seconds. And then 12:18, a call from you to Michael Amir for 6 seconds. Again, 12:18, a call from you to Michael Amir for 5 seconds.
Hi, this is Angie. Can you give me a call at
And those 4 phone calls I just mentioned,
510-575-7801? Thanks. Have a blessed
was
day.
any conversation had between you and Michael Amir, or were those just messages back and forth or attempts to reach one another?
It was attempts to reach one another, sir.
Okay. Going forward then to the call I had mentioned previously, the 12:18 phone call from you to Michael Amir Williams, lasting 88 seconds. Where were you when you answered that phone and actually spoke to Michael Amir Williams?
I was inside the security trailer, sir.
did anything did Michael Amir say to you?
He said, where are you at? And I said, I'm at the house. He said, okay, I need you to get up. Don't cause too much commotion. Something to that regards. And he says, go to the front of the house. And so I got up, right as he said that, and I started heading to the front of the house, sir.
Hello. Hello. Yes. Good morning.
People's 6 for identification.
What you doing?
Do you recognize that aerial photograph of 100 North Carrollwood?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And in People's 6, you previously identified the trailer. Would we be able to dim some of the lights, just please?
Mr. Sam?
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. If you could, Mr. Alvarez, you've indicated at the time you received the call that you were in the trailer reflected on the right side of People's 6. What I'd like you to do, if you could, with you have the pointer there with you?
I sure do.
Show us with the pointer the path you took once Mr. Williams told you, don't make a commotion, but head toward the front door, or whatever the exact words that were said.
Yes, sir. I exited through the front of the trailer and then made my way through this part of the driveway and then proceeded to go through the front door, sir.
Okay. And you've indicated then you came out of the doors of the trailer, came around to the front of the house, to the official front entrance of the home on People's 6, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And while you're walking along this path, I assume you're on the phone speaking with Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. Are you relaying to him, in essence, what you're doing, that you're proceeding toward the front of the house?
He asked me if I was walking. I said yes. And he says, okay, jog to the front of the house or speed up. You know, he told me to run, something to that regards. And so I proceeded to pick up my pace and walk. I continue to walk towards the front of the house, or
Okay.
continue to go to the front of the house.
Showing you what was earlier marked People's 7. Do you recognize that as being the front doors that you've just described?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And as reflected in People's 7, these front doors are glass?
That is correct.
Okay. And did you eventually then, as you're coming toward the front of the house and you're on the phone with Mr. Williams, did you get to the front of the house to these glass doors as reflected in People's 7?
I sure did.
And what did you do, sir, as you got to these front glass doors?
I reached out to open the front door, but noticed it was locked, and I relayed to Michael Amir that the front door was locked. And as I was relaying that, the nanny was inside, and she proceeded to come forward to the door and unlock it.
Okay. So you were looking in through the doors, and you could see the nanny come to the front door and unlock it?
That is correct, sir.
As you looked through these front glass doors, could you see other individuals? Prior to your actual entry into the home, could you see other individuals?
Yes, I could, sir.
Who did you see?
Like I said, I saw the nanny. I saw Paris standing next to her, and then I also see Dr. Conrad Murray on the top of the second floor, sir.
Okay. I'm going to show you a photograph. Previously marked People's 8 for identification. Do you recognize what is shown there, Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would this be the vantage point as you're looking in through the glass doors into Michael Jackson's home?
That is correct.
And so this area here where I'm pointing to the lower part of People's 8 would be kind of the front foyer area of the home?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And as you looked in the glass doors and saw the nanny saw Michael's daughter, Paris, and saw Conrad Murray. Could you please, using the pointer, show us the general locations of each individual, beginning with the nanny?
Sure.
And let me ask, is that Rosalind?
That is correct, Rosalind.
So where was the nanny, as best you can recall?
I recall that she was in this general area, and then Paris was right beside her.
Okay, and for the record, in People's 8, you've reflected, or you used the pointer to indicate the left side of the photograph where there appears to be a chair and a small table. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Rosalind then would be closer to you than Paris was?
Yes, she was.
Okay. And Paris was just behind her, but in your view?
She was in the side of her, sir.
In the side of her?
On the side of her.
Okay. And looking at People's 8, does this reflect the area where you saw Conrad Murray as you looked in through those glass doors?
That is correct.
Where did you see Conrad Murray?
I saw him in this general area, sir, leaning over.
Okay, and for the record, you've pointed to what would be the second floor, the railing area that looks down onto the first floor level. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said he was leaning over. Can you describe with more specificity what exactly you saw him doing?
He had his both hands. I recall he had his both hands on the rail, and he was leaning forward, looking down. And also, I'm sorry, Kai Chase was down at the bottom as well.
Okay. So you've described for the record, you put both hands, indicating both hands on the railing, with Conrad Murray leaning forward, looking down to what would be the first floor area?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And when you saw Kai Chase at the same period of time, where was she?
She was in this general area, sir. In this general area here.
Okay, for the record, in People's 8, you're pointing to the rearmost vantage point of that photograph, back toward what we're seeing as these glass doors to the rear that look out on the backyard. Is that accurate?
It was further this way. It was closer to, let me show you. She was standing closer to where this, I believe this is a grandfather clock.
Okay.
She was standing in that location, sir.
Okay, so would it be accurate to say that was about midway then, from this vantage point, about midway between kind of the front foyer area and the rear glass doors, about midway was where you saw Kai Chase?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Kai Chase was Michael Jackson's chef?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Looking at this photograph, sir, People's 8, if you were to proceed through this front area and go to the rear toward the backyard doors, and prior to getting to these backyard doors, if you went right, as reflected in the photograph, would that be the kitchen area?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So after making these observations and seeing Conrad Murray upstairs leaning over the railing, Rosalind let you in the front door?
Yes, sir.
And what did you do?
I proceeded to go into the house, and then I told Michael Amir, I'm inside the house.
Okay.
And then he proceeded to tell me, okay, now run up the stairs.
Okay. And those stairs, are those reflected in People's 8?
Yes, sir.
Could you indicate those stairs with the pointer, please?
Sure can. These are the stairs.
Okay. And you've indicated to the left, as you described them, would be just behind where Rosalind and Paris had been.
That is correct.
Okay. And those spiral up and go up to the landing area where you had previously seen Conrad Murray?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And you went up those stairs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You were still on the phone with Michael Amir?
Yes, I was.
As you proceeded up the stairs, at any point as you proceeded up the stairs, did you see Michael's son, Prince?
Yes, sir. When I was getting to the landing of the second floor, I recall seeing Prince walking the opposite direction.
Okay. Was he upstairs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you proceeding quickly at this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you got to the upstairs landing area, did you see Conrad Murray anywhere?
Yes, I did. Once I was reaching the top of the stairs, and I came to the landing. Dr. Conrad Murray was coming from a hallway towards the bedroom.
Okay. Let me show you a couple photographs and a diagram. First, let me show you People's 20 for identification. You recognize that, sir, as the top of the stairs as they reach the upstairs landing area outside the bedroom?
Yes, sir.
And if you, from this photograph, People's 20, if you were to indicate where Conrad Murray had been seen leaning over, looking down at the first floor, I understand be off the photograph, but would that be over here to the right of the photograph?
Yes, sir.
And now showing you what was earlier marked People's 19 for identification. Do you recognize that, sir, as a diagram of this general second floor area?
Yes, sir, I do.
In People's 19, in the lower left corner, is this the stairs as they meet the landing as you just previously identified in People's 20?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you came up on let me ask you this, in People's 19 then, would this also be the railing area on the lower left corner where you'd seen Conrad Murray looking down onto the first floor?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. I think we could resume with the lights, please, Ernie. Unless it is. Can you still see it clearly enough?
Yes, I can.
Okay. As you came up then onto this landing area, as you've described, where was Conrad Murray when you first saw him?
When I saw him, he was walking in this direction from this area here, sir.
Okay. So you've indicated as you look at People's 19 then, looking at the diagram, he would be coming from the right side of the diagram toward the left side area, which is indicated on the diagram as landing.
Yes, sir.
Let me just ask you about this diagram briefly. These other areas are identified to the right. This area identified as retreat. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. If one was to proceed from the landing through what is marked retreat, do they reach a spiral staircase as indicated here on the diagram?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And if you were to proceed through down that spiral staircase, would you come out into the kitchen?
Correct.
Okay. Now, as you come up this diagram, come up these stairs and come to the landing, to the leftmost portion of this diagram where these doors are indicated, do you know what room that was?
I believe that was Mr. Jackson's room.
Okay. And you say you believe, you didn't go upstairs very often, did you?
No, sir.
Okay. How many times would you say you'd been upstairs prior to June 25th, 2009?
I would say about two times, and that was to let his hairdresser up.
Okay. So that's about 2 times in approximately 6 months?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But it was your understanding that to the left here was Michael Jackson's own personal bedroom?
Correct.
Okay. And then, again, just proceeding with kind of describing the diagram. As you come up into this landing, I want to ask you just briefly about what is identified as foyer, second bedroom number 2, this small hallway into bedroom 2 closet, and bathroom. Is this area identified as foyer kind of part of this bedroom suite, if you will?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And as you enter this foyer then, where there are doors, where I'm indicating this area between the foyer and the actual bedroom, is that kind of an open space proceeding straight into the bedroom?
That is correct.
Okay. So going back to to what you observed, as you came up the landing and you're still on the phone with Mr. Williams, you indicated Conrad Murray was coming on the diagram from right to left, and you said toward the bedroom. Which bedroom were you referring to?
To that foyer area.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And were you also proceeding in that direction?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. What, if anything, did Dr. Murray say to you at that point as you're both kind of converging into this same location?
When he saw me, he said, Alberto, come quick.
Is that what you did?
Yes, sir.
At this point in time, did you have a better understanding of the seriousness of the situation, at least from what you're observing or from the words of Conrad Murray?
Yes, sir.
And did you then terminate your phone call with Michael Amir?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Whereabouts do you think you were when you actually hung up the phone from Michael Amir, if you know?
Well, I was already in the landing, so I must have been in this general area, sir.
Okay. And were you walking toward the entrance here that goes into the foyer?
That's correct.
Okay. Who proceeded in to the foyer first, Conrad Murray or yourself?
Mr. Conrad Murray, sir.
Were you directly behind him?
Yes, I was.
So I was showing you People's 21. Could we resume with dimming the lights on? I have a series of photographs. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Alvarez, do you see People's 21?
Yes, I do.
And from this vantage point then, is this the view from the foyer area looking into what the diagram reflected as bedroom number 2, where Michael Jackson was located?
That is correct.
Okay. And People's 22, is this essentially the same view, but basically with the photographer having taken now steps into the actual bedroom?
That is correct.
Okay. And is that the path you took as reflected in People's 21 and 22, that you went into the foyer and immediately turned into the bedroom?
Yes, I did.
And what transpired, what happened when you first walked into the room?
When I walked into the room and I turned to my right, I observed Mr. Conrad Murray giving chest compressions to Mr. Jackson.
Okay. So he had proceeded into the room in front of you?
Yes.
And evidently had gone over to where Michael Jackson was located?
Correct.
And was giving compressions?
Yes, sir.
Where was Mr. Jackson at this time?
He was in the bed, sir.
As reflected in People's 22, was he on a particular side of the bed?
He was further to the furthest part of the bed.
Okay, so as you look at the bed in People's 22, he was on this far side of the bed?
Correct.
Okay. And was he laying as one normally would with his head in the pillow headboard area and his feet at the feet of the bed?
That is correct.
Describe for us what you personally observed during this time in the bedroom of Michael Jackson's condition.
I remember seeing him, and he was laying on his back. His head was...
I'm sorry, could we get the lights again, Your Honor? I apologize, but... One moment, please. Thank you. Thank you. He was laying on the bed, which you described as the far side of the bed.
Correct. He was laying on his back with his hands extended out. And
you've indicated extended out to his side with the palms up?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I observed that his eyes were slightly open or open, and his mouth was open.
Okay. And was he looking straight up at the ceiling? Was he looking in one particular direction or the other?
His face was slightly towards the left.
Okay, and you say the left, that would be toward the foyer area, essentially.
Correct.
Okay. Now, as you came in and saw Conrad Murray giving compressions, or what you described as compressions, was he using one hand or two hands?
He was using one hand, sir.
Can you describe for the jury exactly what you saw with that one hand on the bed?
He had his hand with his palm open, and he was giving chest compressions in this manner.
Okay. And you've indicated you used your left hand. Is it your recollection it was Conrad Murray's left hand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you've indicated for the record while Michael was on the bed, Conrad Murray used his left hand and pushed down on his chest.
Correct.
At some point in time, did Conrad Murray indicate that he needed to get him to a hospital, or words to that effect?
Yes, sir.
When was that?
When I came into the room, he said, "Alberto, hurry! We have to get him to a hospital. We have to get an ambulance."
Okay.
I missed about 5 minutes of the segment.
When you removed the saline bag from the IV stand, did you notice anything unusual about that saline bag?
Yes, sir. I recall that while I was detaching it from the IV stand, the bag was at my eye level, so I was able to notice that there was a bottle inside this bag.
And when you removed the saline bag from the IV stand, was this the type of, well, let me show you, People's 25. Zooming in on People's 25, depicting an IV stand in the room, you see that this particular IV stand has the hook device on one side with no bag on it, and then a saline bag on the other side?
Correct.
Okay. When you removed the particular saline bag that you removed, was the other saline bag still hanging from the IV stand?
Yes, sir.
Were you ever asked to remove that other saline bag?
No, sir.
And the one you were asked to remove had a bottle inside of it?
Yes, sir.
And can you describe what you observed about that bottle or that saline bag that you removed?
Well, what I recall is, like I said, it was at my eye level, and I was able to notice that at the bottom of the bag there was what appeared to me like a milky white substance, sir.
Okay. Was that in the bottle or the bag, or could you tell with certainty?
I recall seeing it at the bottom of the bag, sir.
Okay. And at an earlier date, earlier than today, did you attempt to draw a picture of the kind of the general shape and structure of that bag?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I have a diagram that's previously been shown to defense counsel. May this be marked People's 27 for identification?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. People's 27. Is that your drawing?
I'm embarrassed to say, but yes.
Okay. The topmost part of that diagram, this basically large rectangle, does that represent the actual saline bag itself?
Correct.
Okay. And then it comes down to the bottom here where the saline bag terminates, and you drew this this apparatus or this device on the bottom of that saline bag. Does this drawing accurately depict what you saw?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you saw some white substance, does this diagram show where that white substance was?
Yes, sir. Can I use my pointer?
Please.
To show. What I recall is seeing the milky white substance in this area here, and then at the bottom of this particular portion device here.
Okay, so you've indicated a milky white substance in this bottommost apparatus on your diagram.
Correct.
And you also recall seeing some white substance above the apparatus, which would actually be, I guess, in the saline bag, to your knowledge?
Correct.
Okay. And inside of this, then, was an actual bottle or glass vial?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was that essentially resting at the bottom of this bag?
Correct.
Okay, on the inside.
On the inside, yes, sir.
Couldn't be on the inside. It had to be on the outside. The bottle hangs.
I have a photograph taken at a subsequent time, Your Honor, depicting a clear saline bag and a 100 milliliter propofol bottle, which was subsequently booked as LAPD evidence item 106. May this be marked as People's 28 for identification?
Yes.
Let me ask you a couple questions. Mr. Alvarez, do you see that saline bag in People's 28?
Yes, sir.
Okay. By all appearances, does that appear to be the same saline bag that Conrad Murray had you remove and place in the bag?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And looking at what would actually be, had it been hanging, is it fair to say it would be in this position, reflected here with this port being at the bottom of the saline bag?
Yes, sir.
And the hook device, the device to hang it from the IV stand being at the topmost portion of People's 28 as it's reflected here with the port being on the bottom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this appears to be the same saline bag?
Yes, sir, it does.
Now, looking at the 100 milliliter propofol bottle, does that appear, by everything you can tell on the appearance of the bottle, does that appear to be the same bottle that you saw inside of that saline bag?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's not inside. It was connected. They need to reword that. They're going
back.
It's not inside. It's connected to.
Let me ask you, do you see in this enlarged photograph that the saline bag, can you see where it has a slit or a cut in the bag where I'm pointing in People's 28?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Did you observe that on that day, June 25th, 2009?
No, sir.
Okay. And again, referencing your diagram where you had drawn an apparatus at the bottom of this saline bag. Would that, well, let me, one moment.
The question should be, where was the
Do you see
bottle
those two
at?
pictures, Mr. Alvarez? Yes, sir. Okay. The saline bag that you drew, as reflected in People's 27 on the right here, you show the saline bag coming down and terminating, and then it appears there's an additional apparatus attached to it. Is that accurate? Yes, sir. Okay. Then looking at the saline bag as reflected in People's 28, is the apparatus visible, or would the apparatus have been, to your recollection, connected to this port?
It is not visible, sir.
Okay. So to be clear, People's 28, what I'm calling a port, you see this, you understand to what I'm referring at the bottom of People's 28 as it's shown right now?
Yes.
Okay. That would be reflected in People's 27 as this portion above the apparatus where the saline bag would terminate. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
And then attached to it was another apparatus.
Correct.
Okay. Which is not visible in People's 28.
Correct.
Okay. Then I have here actual saline bag that was booked as LAPD evidence item 110. Defense counsel has previously seen it.
And is now reviewing it.
Mr. Alvarez, let me previously booked into evidence as LAPD evidence item 110, Your Honor. May this be marked People's 29 for identification?
Marked.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Alvarez, was the condition of the saline bag when you saw it as reflected in People's 28? In other words, it was clear and it was empty. I know you've described liquid, but it was not a bag full of saline fluid, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And was it clean and clear as depicted in People's 28?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It did not have fingerprint dusting powder on it and blackened as it is here in court today?
No, sir.
Okay.
Double negative.
Did it appear as it appears in court here today with blackened fingerprint powder on it?
It did not.
Okay. And does this appear, as you look at People's 29, does it appear to be the same bag, at least in general appearance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But for the apparatus that you previously described as being attached to it?
Correct.
Okay. Then showing you People's... may I present this to the jury for a moment, Your Honor? Just show the slit.
Mr. Chernoff?
No objections.
Is this a offer?
Do we have evidence?
Not yet.
No, then no, Judge. I object until he offers it into evidence.
Oh, my God. I can't show the jury that.
It's not evidence.
Well, I thought counsel said there's no objection.
Well, there is, but he hasn't. Is it in evidence, then?
It won't be good evidence until determination.
Do you want to address something at sidebar?
Sure.
May we?
Right now, it appears that they're addressing on the sidebar based on the IV bag. So it's pretty quiet right now.
Well, there is Dr. Conrad Murray. We have our experts with us. Criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Jeffrey Steinberger is with us, along
That's
with
the
Ann
television
Fitz,
that you
criminal
hear.
defense attorney, former prosecutor.
Sorry.
All right, you and I are sitting here watching this together. Isn't this? I mean, again, I'm a layman. You're the expert. Damning testimony when you talk about all the things that I've outlined in the
Well, Red looks kind of nervous.
Right, yeah.
for
We've
some
got
reason.
the gross negligence is apparent here. There's no monitoring equipment. There's the obstruction
You want to offer in evidence Peoples 29?
Yes, Your Honor, please.
Is there any objection, Mr. Chernow? Is there any objection?
No, there is.
Peoples 29 is received in evidence at this time. Do you wish to publish Peoples 29 to the jurors?
Please, may I, Your Honor?
Any objection, Mr. Chernow?
No.
Thank you. You may.
And I just want to make sure everyone can visibly see. Visibly see the cut in the back.
Seems to be having issues with the juror.
Reporter required, everyone will be able to see that, Your Honor.
I will. Have the jurors review the item?
All
jurors indicating the affirmative. Mr. Wolf started at the far end of the jury box.
You're hearing the television right now.
Worked his way down to the front of the jury box.
All jurors indicate the affirmative. Mr. Walken started at the far end of the jury box, where the alternates are located, and worked his way down to the front of the jury box, where the first jurors and others are located. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, Your Honor, I'd also like to mark for identification what was previously booked as LAPD item 106. I'd ask that this be marked Peoples 30 for identification.
Marked.
I'd also ask to move it into evidence at this time.
Mr. Chernow?
Yes, no objections.
Okay. Peoples 30 is received in evidence.
I retrieve the scissors from your clerk, Your Honor.
All right. Why don't you indicate its present form
Your Honor,
and what you want to do?
I have what was previously booked as LAPD evidence item 106, marked as Peoples 30 for identification. It is a 100 milliliter propofol bottle in a sealed plastic bag. At this time, what I'd like to do is open this sealed plastic bag so that I could retrieve Peoples 30 from that bag.
Any objections?
No objections.
Thank you. You may.
At this time, I'm using scissors to cut open the evidence item. I'm now holding Peoples 30. Mr. Alvarez, showing you Peoples 30. If I could take a moment, Your Honor, to publish this to the jury.
Is there any objection?
No objections.
Thank you. You may. And starting in that same area, working the way down to the other jurors.
I've done so, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have the jurors seen the exhibit? It's indicating affirmative. Thank you.
Mr. Alvarez, showing you what was marked as Peoples 30 and also is reflected on the screen. Does this appear to be the bottle that you saw inside of LAPD evidence item 110 Peoples 29 on June 25th, 2009?
It appears to be, yes, sir.
And do you recall whether it was in the position as I'm holding it now or in the position I'm holding it now where the writing on the label would be upside down?
It was towards the bottom, but it was kind of slanted towards if you go to your right.
Okay, so do you see this rubber stopper?
Yes.
Okay. And the metal rim around that rubber stopper?
Yes.
Okay. Would that have been generally toward the port of the saline bag?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you said it was slightly sideways?
Correct.
Okay. For the record, Your Honor, I'm now taking Peoples 30, the propofol bottle. I'm placing it inside Peoples 29. Mr. Alvarez, showing you Peoples 29.
Can I take a look at that, Judge? May I go over here?
Both counts may meet.
I'm doing it so Mr. Chernoff can see.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
May I publish this to the jury, Your Honor?
Tell us again what you just did.
I had placed the propofol bottle inside of the saline bag through the slit that it was previously identified.
I think you were going to ask Mr. Alvarez if that's what he saw. Is that what we're...
I think that's the next step. That's what I just asked. Okay. Yeah,
And then I'd like to publish it to the jury.
I think you need to ask the question of Mr. Alvarez first. Foundation.